Hi everyone. Today we are going to be looking at the flow of energy, but we're going to just focus on the different types of organisms and different types of consumers. So just getting a handle on some of that basic vocab. Since flow of energy is an important part of ecology, I thought I would remind us what ecology is. The definition of ecology is basically the study of the interactions between organisms and their environment. So this is quite a wide-ranging topic. But flow of energy falls under it, so I wanted to remind us about that. When we talk about flow of energy, basically what we're talking about is how do organisms get energy and how does this energy move between them and the environment. So starting off, you can divide basically all life into two different categories of organisms. First, we have producers, otherwise known as autotrophs, which make their own food. And then conversely, we have consumers or heterotrophs, which feed on producers or other heterotrophs to get food. The prefix auto means self, and the prefix hetero means different. So you can sort of get an idea where these terms come from. These are self-feeding, which includes plants and some bacteria. And heterotrophs must generally consume other organisms in order to obtain food. An example of an autotroph is a kauri tree here. These are among the widest trees on Earth. This tree in particular, you can see the sign here says Yuccas. That is the name given to this particular tree. And one of the things you do when you go see Yuccas is you are supposed to hug Yuccas. Okay? These are very rare trees endemic to New Zealand. And they are quite protected because of how rare they are. Another autotroph endemic to New Zealand is the silver fern, which has become a symbol of the country. It grows these fronds, and then they slowly unfurl as the plant develops. A really interesting organism here is this type of sea slug called Elysia chlorotica. This slug has a unique ability in that when it consumes algae, it can actually incorporate the algae's chloroplasts into its body, and then it can perform photosynthesis like a plant. So using the sun and carbon dioxide, it can produce sugars in the same way a plant can. Now, it can't do this forever. Eventually, the chloroplasts will break down and it will have to eat again. However, this is a great adaptation for the organism because it allows it to survive lengthy periods without having to obtain food. It also sort of blurs the line between heterotroph and autotroph a bit. Now, if we want to break up heterotrophs into different groups, we can get even more specific. So some of these terms you should be familiar with. Carnivores, also called secondary or tertiary consumers, they eat only other consumers. Okay, carn means meat, so sometimes people say meat eaters. It doesn't necessarily have to be meat per se, but herbivores are primary consumers. They eat only other producers, so this is generally consumers that eat plants. And omnivores, omni means both. They eat both producers and consumers. So humans are an omnivore along with some other groups. Two more types of consumers you might not be as familiar with. Detritivores. Detritivores consume decaying organisms. So this is organisms that actually eat things that have died. You can contrast this with decomposers, which don't actually eat dead things, but they break them down. So this could be like mold or fungi or bacteria that don't eat dead things per se, but they break them down. And decomposers are the only kind of organism to get energy from all the other levels of organisms. All right, so basically the last thing to do, just check our understanding of some of these terms we went through, is just see if you can classify these organisms. So we've got grasshopper, mushroom, vulture, bald eagle, lily pads, and a grizzly bear. Okay, so take a second. Think about, can you classify each of those organisms as one of those types of consumers or autotroph, heterotroph, etc.? See if you can do that before I go on here and go ahead and reveal it. Alright, so let's look at what they are. Grasshopper here, you should have classified as an herbivore. It's a heterotroph. It's an herbivore. Eats plants. Okay? Mushrooms are decomposers. They break down organic material in order to get energy, but they don't eat it. Unlike the vulture here, who is a detritivore, actually eats the decaying organisms. Bald eagle is a carnivore, generally just eats meat. Lily pad is a plant, so that means it must be an autotroph. And the grizzly bear eats a variety of animals and plants, right, which means it is an omnivore. Right. That was a quick run through of just flow of energy terms and different types of consumers. Hope you found it helpful.